Hey there, it's James from Create With, and in today's tutorial we're going to take a look at how to make a mini AI agent using DeepSeek, Grok 3 and Cloudflare Workers. So you're not going to need to write any code at all for this. It's surprisingly easy. It's going to take us about 10 minutes to put the whole flow together, and it's really not as hard as you think. So what our agent's going to do is it's just going to be an example little agent that's going to take as a supermarket stock inventory report, and based on that report it's going to give us back a bunch of decisions about which products we need to discount and which ones we need to put on sale and things like that, just to give you an example of how to build these kind of workers and how they work. There's no coding required. It's going to take us about 10 minutes to build the whole thing from start to finish. So let's dive in and get started. So let's just take a look at what data we're going to be working with here. So I've put together kind of a dummy supermarket stock take here, just to give us some data to work with. And basically what it is, it's a report of all the items that this supermarket's got in stock, when the items need to be sold by, the cost per unit of each item, how much they're selling per week, and also just stuff about like the stock room where it's all being stored. So you can kind of start to get a feel. There's a lot of info in this report that DeepSeek's going to be able to use to help us make our decisions later on. And the tasks that we're going to do, just to demonstrate the capabilities here, is we're going to ask it to identify the top 2 items at the greatest risk of spoilage. So based on that report, the stock take that we put in, we're going to ask for that. We're going to estimate the potential financial impact if those items are ruined. So if we don't sell them or discount them enough, what we're going to lose. And we're going to ask it to recommend 2 actions that we can take to minimize the risk of that happening. So pretty cool, I think. I think it's a nice way of just explaining and showing decision-making capabilities and what we're going to do. I'm also just going to hop over here into the Cloudflare website, and we're just going to take a look at the AI models that are available to us in here. So I'm just going to hit the Learn More and head to the Models section. And in here you can just see we've got a list of all the different open source AI models that you can run on Cloudflare, and there's stuff. There's obviously the kind of the Google Gemini derived ones, Meta's Llama models. But for this, we're going to actually look at this DeepSeek R1 kind of variant here, because we're looking to kind of do some reasoning and actually make some decisions. And when you click into it, you can see we've got the name of the model and the price to run it. So 50 cents per million input tokens, 488 for million output tokens. This is amazing value, really good. And then you've got all the documentation here for how to call this AI. But we don't, as we're going to be using AI to generate this this kind of agent, we don't actually need any of that. What we do need, though, is we just need to get the name of the AI model that we want to use here. So I'm just going to copy that. And then we're going to head over and start generating the code for our worker. So that's what we're going to head on to next. Okay, so I've headed over to my AI where we're going to write the code for this worker. I'm actually going to use Grok 3, which just came out this week. I've been using it for the last few days, and I think it's awesome. It's really outperforming Claude for me in a lot of ways. So Claude was always my default for writing all this kind of code, but I've been finding Grok 3 to be awesome. So we're going to use this. So now what we're going to do is just start explaining to Grok exactly what we want to make. So I'll probably fast forward through a few bits of this and just show you the full prompt at the end. But to start with, what we want to do is I want to make a Cloudflare worker. The worker should use Cloudflare AI. I want to use the model, and I'm just going to paste in that model that we copied from in Cloudflare. So that's the name of the model. I want DeepSeek to analyze my store stock take. And then I'm actually just going to go and grab, first of all, an example of the stock take, just to give it the full context. So here we go. Here is an example stock take. I will provide this as a JSON body. And then I've just pasted in our stock take. And then the next bit, I'm just going to head to the bottom of that demo that we've put. I want DeepSeek to return a JSON object with the following. And then I'm just going to go back to my document and get those 3 tasks that we wanted it to do. So I'll grab those. I'm going to put those in at the bottom. And I'm just going to say generate the code for the worker and give me an example input request. So I'm going to run that now. And I can see it's already looking up the docs to see how to do this, and it's generating the code for our Cloudflare Worker. I can see it's writing all the system prompts for us, setting everything up. I can see it's declared that actual AI model that we want to use, and then it's given us an example post request to test the worker. So I mean, you could see that was just generated in about 10 seconds. So let's go now and just set this up in Cloudflare. So I'm going to copy this code here. And then I've just come over into my Cloudflare account, gone into the workers section, and I've pressed create a new worker. And let's just call this worker our no code stock take agent. And then you can see we've got our URL there that we're going to be able to call to make the decisions here. So I'm going to deploy that. And that basically is just going to deploy us an empty Cloudflare worker that we can now go in and start setting up. So to start with, I'm actually going to continue to the project because there is one thing that we need to just configure in this worker before we get going, which is just to connect it to Cloudflare's AI binding, it's called in here. So we're going to go into our worker settings, and just down in here you can see there's an option called bindings, and I'm just going to click add, and then I'm going to choose the AI option that's in here at the bottom, workers AI, and then I'm just going to give it a name of AI and then hit deploy. And that just tells our Cloudflare worker that it can use Cloudflare's AI product effectively. So now that we've set that up, we just got to go into the edit code option for the worker. And on the left here, you can see we've got our boilerplate code. And on the right, we've got our kind of test console to test the worker. And in here, I'm just going to paste the code that Grok generated for us. So this is our kind of worker code here. Okay, so now that we've got our code pasted in here, we want to run the worker and actually test the decision making and getting outputs. So I'm just going to head back into Grok here, and I've just asked it to give me an example JSON body to test. And as you can see, it's all formatted quite properly here. So in a future version, we might change this so it just accepts a string in, and we could send it in as a string. But here it's all kind of nicely formatted. It depends on what system was sending data into it, I guess. So yeah, let's copy that test post request. And then I'm going to paste that in here, and then it's going to run straight away. So I've pasted that in, and we can already see the worker has started working here in the console logs. And actually, it's already responded. So we can see it ran, it got its decisions back from DeepSeek, and then it's provided us with this block of JSON here. So if I just copy this JSON, let's just put it into a nice formatter so it's a bit nicer to read. And then you can see it's here. It's responded with our top 2 at risk, and it's worked out it's the bread that expires on that date, and the reasoning why it's at risk. And it's also worked out the potential financial loss because it knows the price of the bread and how many units were available. And then it's also given us our recommended actions here. And you can see what it's told us to do is to discount the bread this weekend and promote bananas to clear the stock because they're also at risk. So this is pretty amazing stuff here, I think. This is just a kind of a simple example. But it gives you an idea of the reasoning capabilities of these models and just being able to run them in Cloudflare here without even an API key. Like we've literally taken that code from Grok, pasted it in here, did the binding that you saw earlier to Workers AI and run it, and we've got our decisions out. I think it's pretty amazing. One thing we could also add is we could get the worker to output more into the console here so that we could actually track what was going on at each step of the thought-making process. So there's tons of other ways you could expand this. But why don't we actually just go and test this API call in Bubble now? So now that this is all set up, all I've got to do is hit deploy on the top right here, and that's going to save the code. And then all I've got to do is take this URL, and we'll head over into Bubble and set up this API and do a test request, and that's it. So it's pretty amazing. So let's head into Bubble now. So I'm over here in Bubble now, and I've just gone to the API connector, and I'm just going to add a new API call. So I've just called this DeepSeek demo, and we're going to call our API call stock take to decision. And then it's a post request, and then we're going to put the post URL of our Cloudflare worker in there. And then just to initialize it, I'm going to go back into our worker and just grab that example post request that we used earlier. So let me grab that, put that in here, and let's use this as an action because we might want to use this in a workflow, and let's check for errors and get the headers as well. And then I'm going to hit initialize. Now that's going to go away, run the Cloudflare worker exactly like we just did in the test console, and it's going to provide back to us our decisions. And here we go. So we can see we've got our top 2 items at risk back here, the reasons, the potential financial losses, and also our recommended actions. So you can see here we've got discount the bread, and then we'll also have those other actions in there as well in the full list. And all we got to do is save that, and then we can run that from Bubble. And again, this is incredibly cheap to run on Cloudflare. You can iterate through really easily with AI if you want to make changes to it. But I think this is one of the things that you can have in your back pocket that really can let you build incredible features into your app. And again, we haven't written any code to do this. It even blows my mind that this is possible and that this tech is changing so quickly. So I hope that gives you a bit of a flavor for what you can do with these reasoning models and why I think working with them in a tool like Cloudflare is really worth it. Because as you can see, when we run this in Bubble here, not only is it super fast, but we're getting back our structured JSON that we can use in apps like Bubble and Zapier and all the rest of it. We get this lovely formatted data back from the reasoning model. So that's why I think it is worth really considering Cloudflare Workers. I know it can be a bit intimidating, but it really isn't too bad. But you've seen the entire process of setting it up from writing the code in Grok to setting up a Cloudflare worker, turning on the AI bindings, no API keys, pasting in our code from Grok and running it. It really is, it can be that simple. So I really encourage you to have a play with it, because it is an amazing thing to have in your tool belt. So that's it for this week. I hope you found that useful. Lots more to come in future weeks around reasoning models, AI, all the latest stuff. I'm experimenting with it all the time, so I'll be sharing everything that I learn along the way. So thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.